So Planned Parenthood put out a media release today following this hearing titled, "Idaho lawmakers seem to listen to doctor for once," which is an interesting way to title something. But lawmakers listening to the public is something an everyday Idahoan would certainly favor. And we now have a better idea for what, well, that everyday Idahoan looks like based on the Boise State Public Policy Survey, Andrew.
Yeah, that 9th annual report just came out, Brian and Joe, and that Boise State Public Policy Survey, it details topics that people care most about in the state, which is good timing for some of our viewers who had time to complain and say that their priorities were not getting enough attention. That's shown here from this comment from Ginny, where she says, "When will the legislature start tackling big issues all Idahoans care about?" Or this one from B&B, "You know, most of us really wish that the legislators and the government would stay out of the personal business of us." And do what? Get down to the public business of we? Well, it looks like the state legislature has their work cut out for them. Weeks into the 2024 legislative session, and Idaho lawmakers have made some early headlines.
Issues that get a lot of play on cable news.
It includes the dangers of AI-generated child porn.
When you depict a child by AI that looks real, but it's not, and that's not a crime right now, and it should be.
The regulation of inappropriate library books.
It's for adults. That's not for children. Kids that are 18 and under don't have any reason to access that material.
Changing the word fetus in state law to preborn child.
We just have used these terms in a way that's not clear and consistent.
They're all efforts.
I'm not saying they don't matter.
That might fall far from the everyday Idahoan.
They're more interested in, am I going to be able to pay the bills at the end of the month? Is my kid going to a safe school? Is he or she learning?
And Dr. Charles Hunt, he's always gathering answers.
Yeah.
The latest he finds in the annual Boise State Public Policy Survey.
It's like a playground,
where the priorities of the game are set by the players, and Idahoans are consistent in their ask.
These hot button issues, these kind of wedge issues, they come and go, they change, right? I think over time you see people focused more on a lot of these kitchen table issues.
The top 3 legislative priorities are education, jobs in the economy, and housing. Staples, Hunt says, that are largely unchanged and arguably getting worse. For the first time in state history, more Idahoans say the state is heading in a bad direction rather than good.
That's a number that's coming out as the national economy, by most measures is rebounding pretty nicely post-COVID. Idaho's economy is doing well. There's a ton of growth, right?
Hunt says there's a disconnect. While people say we're heading in the wrong direction, a lot of measurables suggest Idaho and the country are both doing well.
On the other hand, I try not to blame voters too much for how they're feeling about a certain situation. Our politics are pretty toxic right now, and we're heading into an election year where most Americans do not seem all that happy about this 2020 rematch between Biden and Trump that we had.
That polarization is seen here, where 4 of the top 5 complaints are about opposing political views or leadership.
It didn't terribly surprise me.
But Hunt adds the important work the people of Idaho want done can and does come with reward if State House leadership is listening.
Legislators' communication with their constituents, they can have some impact on what they were really fighting for. This also would have sort of the effect maybe of sort of increasing this sense of kind of trust and legitimacy in government that we know is lacking in a lot of our political institutions right now.
The survey also asked about specific topics. There are items that were correctly predicted to be taken up by the legislature this year. So nearly 70% of respondents say that libraries are a non-issue. If you look at our schools, are they too woke? Only about 4% of people think that's an issue. Mandatory minimum sentencing for drug traffickers or alleged drug traffickers, 70% say yes to that. School choice vouchers got majority support too, and about 10% were undecided. So being just under 50% was actually the largest category. The survey dug into the state's current abortion laws too. About 1/3 support those current laws. The majority, though, in favor of expanding exceptions. Difference with that, though, Brian, there's not exactly a communal agreement on what that expansion would look like, how far you would take it. So kind of broke that down in different ways.
What else I found interesting about that is those people that thought that the state was going in the wrong direction versus those that thought it was going the right direction.
Yep.
Those that thought it was going in the right direction have lived here fewer than 10 years. Those that thought it was going in the wrong direction politically have been here longer than 10 years.
And a lot of the data suggests that the people that have moved here recently are overwhelmingly Republican, in the sense that a lot of people, political refugees, you could say. Though independents, I do believe, make up a significant portion as well.
Much more than Democrats.
Democrats very much in the minority in that of people moving to the state.
Exactly. Thanks, Andrew. We'll be right back.